Hi y'all, so today I'll talk about a canvas that I painted to demonstrate both amodal and modal completion. So amodal and modal completion are both two important depth cues that help us contribute to surface perception and letting us know objects' relationships with one another. So amodal completion is basically when surfaces are completing behind occluding surfaces, meaning the surface may not entirely be visible, but it's still registering in our brain. So this is information that we cannot directly see, but we can assume that it completes. So examples of this in real life is facial recognition and how this is better when it's blocked by an occluder. So we can still see faces and understand that it's a face even though it may be blocked. So an example of this is when you can see someone's face through the blinds. Other examples in class, we've seen how fragments, even if they're partially hidden, we can still see them. We can also see 3D shapes. Dr. Haberman in class also talked about how he stood behind a desk and we were still able to see that his body completes and he wasn't just a floating torso. So I'll kind of go into what I painted. So an example of amodal completion is this gray rectangle right here. So the gray rectangle underneath this black rectangle is completing amodally, and even though these two gray pieces right here appear to be single objects or single entities, the contours that are able to connect these two aren't entirely visible. So the reason why this works is good form, which is how the contours are able to form the best shape of the group together, as well as good continuation. So on the other hand, modal completion is when these surfaces are completing in front of one another even though the border's not visible. So the completed surface is seen, and this is definitely less common than amodal completion. So an example of modal completion is this white rectangle right here. The white rectangle in front is an example of modal completion, and it completes modally, whereas the black rectangle and these two black circles right here complete amodally. So we would only see the rectangle via modal completion, this white one right here, if we were assuming that these are complete circles or complete discs through amodal completion. So I believe that both of these examples of amodal and modal completion kind of show us how the visual system overall is able to use heuristics, which are rules of the world, and how we're able to use them to form and model interpretations based on our measurements in the world. So yeah.